E3 coverage stream. Really excited to be here and getting started with you guys again. I know we had the opportunity to kick this off and do it right the last couple of years, and so I know going forward we'll be able to hopefully do that again. We're starting with the EA Play event, which is supposed to be starting very shortly. I imagine it's going to be pretty exciting. EA, they always have quite a bit of quality content to share, and even when they don't, watching them kind of mess stuff up is fun too. So I think a lot of what we can kind of expect for... Sorry, I'm tweaking the resolution here, making sure everything is kind of consistent with what we're looking for. Anyway... I think last year we really kind of had a weird lull with their EA Play event where, there were a lot of like pop culture personalities and people you wouldn't necessarily expect or want to be talking about games. I think they had like Zac Efron, Jamie Foxx, some YouTube content creator who, stood up, completely botched his portion of the conference. So, I'm not going to pretend. I think we all know this isn't necessarily the type of conference that we walk into expecting, the things that we come to E3 for. That being said, I'm still excited. This kind of gives us the opportunity to kick things off, test to make sure everything is working right for the stream, and then, of course, engage in some dialogue about the exciting games that they will be showing. Because that obviously exists and is important too. So, I'll be kind of managing the chat, of course, and if anybody has anything that they want to share or want highlighted during the course of this event, just feel free to keep engaging, and I'm happy to work with you here. I realize that the EA's stream is coming in silent right now. That's intentional, as I usually don't like keeping the pre-event volume up. It's not necessarily anything against anybody who's doing casting for this sort of event. It's just not necessarily something that I'm looking to, have overpower what I'm saying, what I'm talking about with you guys. So I know some pretty big games that we can expect to be hearing about during this conference. I mean, obviously, Battlefield is a must. Following the recent events surrounding the kind of overall reception to Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm pretty confident that we're going to be seeing some content pertaining to a potential remake or remaster of the original games for current-gen consoles. I definitely think that there's a lot of flexibility and potential here, so... already they were talking about, before I actually started the stream, they were talking about Madden for mobile, which I realize a lot of, my viewership or my audience might not be super passionate about. I myself am not. But, it's always cool to see kind of the convergence of different media and seeing any sort of, successful franchise having some sort of mobile counterpart. I think it kind of helps to bridge the gap between numerous different types of gamers. I don't necessarily think we have to create a sort of, almost homogenized idea of what gaming should be, what real gaming is. I think the more we kind of converge those ideas of what those audiences are, the more likely we are to get a versatile, kind of varying form of gameplay in the games that we see. And it's not just something that we're seeing... with like Western developed games either, because if you look at the new Pokemon games that were just announced, I talked about those in my recent video. They kind of bring the best of kind of what the fans of the original series like, as well as the new fans that have come specifically from Pokemon Go. I don't necessarily think that those fans have to necessarily be kept in separate zones. Clearly the core Pokemon game that's coming out next year is likely going to have a little bit more consistently traditional style to it. But I think the Hey Eevee and Hey Pikachu, Pokemon games, or Let's Go Eevee, whatever they're called, those games, I think, are kind of the perfect middle ground in that conversation. So... that's sort of where I'm coming from. I think I had a pretty similar stance when it came to Ubisoft's game Steep that launched a couple of years ago. Something that kind of combined the whole open world online experience with something as untraditional as winter sports game. So that's a lot of kind of where my thinking comes into play there. So it's looking like we are going to have quite a few minutes before this starts off. I was having a conversation with someone a couple of days ago about the Dragon Age series and kind of where that could potentially go. Obviously, as I mentioned in the previous video, any BioWare games that we'll see, we're going to see during EA's presentation, since they are kind of like a subsidiary of EA. Another kind of interesting thing is, the whole monopoly on pop culture games, things like sports and dancing and all of that fun stuff is no longer necessarily exclusively in EA's wheelhouse. I mean, obviously Ubisoft's kind of had their hand in that market with the Just Dance series, and then it's something Nintendo really specializes in. But I think that kind of seeing how we get many different types of play experiences through this conference. I mean, even down to something like The Sims. These are the types of things that are really going to have to be present in order to blow people away. A couple of years ago, EA occupied some of the time of their press conference by talking about a Minions game. So I hope that doesn't happen again. So we're about 6 minutes away from the start of the show. Thinking about some things that I'm most excited to see, some predictions that I have. As I mentioned, a couple of remakes and remasters along the way here. I know they said there are going to be a lot of gameplay interviews. Pretty excited to see what those kind of entail. And then also, one game that I am legitimately really, really excited for is Anthem. And I know that I mentioned recently that Anthem kind of reminds me of an even more Western version of like Xenoblade X, with sort of the futuristic, setting, the kind of hostile, unknown planet, combined with one of my personal favorite things, which is the really fluid, really free-form movement within a large play space. I think people oftentimes underestimate the value of having something like that. I think a good example is like Infamous, right? Where a world that in large part only has kind of cut and paste versions of various missions. Outside of the main story, you're not going to find a whole lot of additional content in your typical Infamous game. But the way in which movement is handled really kind of changes your perception of the play experience. Obviously I'm getting a little bit designy in my talk here about from a consumer perspective, but once you've had the opportunity to try both, I can assure you it's something that you view very differently going forward. Now, like I said, I definitely don't expect this to be the biggest presentation we see this weekend. In fact, I would put in a pretty strong argument for it more than... So now, that was just my internet being fickle. I assure you it's something that I will be able to remedy before tomorrow's presentations. I'm actually going to be streaming using exclusively Wi-Fi through an adapter for this first EA presentation. But going forward, I'm going to be making the adjustment to a wired connection. I'm going to have a whole new setup in a different room of my apartment by tomorrow. We're down to the last 2 minutes, guys, so we're really looking to get started soon. The first of the E3 press conference presentations. I was going to say, as far as additional commentators, that actually is still too loud. I don't care about this guy saying it. As far as additional commentators, people are going to be joining me over the course of the weekend. I think I've got some people lined up for some of tomorrow's shows with Microsoft and Bethesda, and then for Monday as well with Sony, and then with Ubisoft. This one, and then Nintendo, I'm going to be going completely solo, but this probably for the best. Gives me the chance to, well, especially for the Nintendo one, kind of gives me the opportunity to kind of go all in without having to worry about acting a whole fool over Smash Bros. In front of my friends. Though honestly, I'm generally like pretty hyped for every presentation. You know, especially with Microsoft. Like, I don't necessarily own an Xbox One, but one thing that I really value is the ability to play those games on PC. Oh, stop! Ah, goodness.
It may be a mobile game, but say perhaps you'd like to play a game in a race chair with a steering wheel. There are four stages. Look at this guy. He's jumping the stage. He's like, I'm ready. I'm jumping in live. No pressure.
See, this is what happens when you're not prepared. This poor guy is up here fighting for his life right now.
There's food over here. We're going inside. Let's head inside and check out the show.
For real this time, or are you going to talk to us again? Whew, that was rough. Alright guys, we're getting started. I'm going to pump up the volume a little bit. Wait a sec. Are they doing another FIFA game too? I think that's the biggest twist of the year. Oh, man. Are you sure you want to be showing anything related to Yoda or Star Wars or Battlefront 2 right now?
Oh my gosh, how cool is that? So that was Anthem. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But welcome everybody to EA Play. I'm Andrew Renee. While you might recognize me from the gaming community, I'm kind of a new face around here. So this year, EA wanted to change things up because they know that I'm both a gamer and a fan. So they invited me to come and host the show. And I think this year is going to be a lot of fun, you guys. I hope you're ready. Because we're about to kick the press conference off. But before we do that, EA Play is more than just the show you're about to watch. Right behind these doors, there is a fan fest outside, and it is huge this year. It's a full 3-day gaming festival where thousands of gamers can come and play games for free. Now, inside the theater here, there are hundreds of community members from all over the world who are going to be capturing, streaming, and giving their first impressions of the games that we're going to be showing off here today. But before we can get to that, we have some reveals, of course. We're going to kick things off with a look at Battlefield 5 multiplayer. Now, I know Trevor Noah gave you the first look. Yeah, we can clap it up. Last month, but we've got some new stuff to show you today. Then we're going to move on to FIFA 19, and boy, do they have some big news, you guys. Any World Cup fans? You guys excited?
I do have to give a warning for anybody first time viewing on my channel. I do just want to make sure to cater to, you know, the gaming audience as much as possible. There might be women in this trailer, so if that's something that... Ooh, I know.
Well, wouldn't it be fun, you guys, if I told you all the secrets at once, right?
No.
Give him a break. He's such a serious show. So without further ado, let's get things started.
Oh, man. Here we go with the discomfort, right? That was a good trailer. I'm blown away, honestly.
Right, it's time to kick this thing off. It's been 2 weeks since we read about Battlefield 5. And you know what? It's been exciting, it's been a lot of speculation and so many brilliant remixes of a reveal trailer. But there's also been lots and lots of questions from the community. And we've heard you want to see more gameplay innovations. You want to know how customization actually works. You want to know more about our take on the Second World War. So today, we'll show you more gameplay.
You could also speak out about the toxic members of your fan base who've been trying to, you know, complain about the game's lack of realism.
You will
But
be able to dive and smash through windows to surprise your enemies. Where previously the fences were stationary, you will now be able to move these weapons around on the battlefield and gain advantages. And our renowned destruction system is back and more impactful than ever. So, well, you can't really...
now this I know was a big draw for people who are really into Bad Company
as they
2.
rip through those buildings.
As you guys know, I'm not super big into shooters, but yeah, anything with a very, very heavily interactive environment sets itself up for the most kind of varying gameplay you can get, so at least in match-based.
New gameplay systems here at EA Play from our community. So let's talk about our single player in War Stories.
Yes, let's do that. So we want to tell you about those untold stories that got us excited to start with on this game. It's about what you will see really those moments of human heroism. It is about witnessing the war through the eyes of the men and women who shaped the world forever. Real and relatable people facing the
I got a lot of backlash a couple of years back when I posted an article about why graphics and visual style do actually matter, because I think, yeah, there's a real argument like for them being completely irrelevant. I don't think obviously they trump mechanics or gameplay in terms of determining the quality of the game, but if you're attempting to design an immersive experience, having something be really visually appealing can absolutely help with that. And I will say, like, this game, EA games in general, are usually, like, pretty visually ahead of the bar.
I know a lot of you have been asking for.
It's Royale. It's Royale reimagined for Battlefield.
That doesn't sound like cheering. It sounds like there was some booing in there.
Team play, vehicles into this new experience. So we will bring you an experience that you haven't played before, in Battlefield or anywhere else. But more about that later this year.
So with that, it's time to show
That you haven't played anywhere else. Except PUBG, Fortnite, Overwatch, Paladins, the new Black Ops,
This is your first look at ground operation.
the next Super Mario game. Ooh, maybe Smash Bros. Will have a Battle Royale. It's ridiculous. Looks pretty good. They did that with the last one with Battlefield 1 also, where they showed part of a trailer and then the rest of it they reserved for the Xbox briefing, which is probably a good idea because I imagine more people will be tuned in for that. They're doing their weird story mode again. There was a period, I think, 5-ish years ago, where sports games were probably the most visually appealing type of video game. No, it was more than 5 or 6 years ago. It was close to like 10 years ago, honestly. And I just remember, like, there was no sort of visual, like, realism that you could get that was better than what a sports game was going to provide. And then there was just, like, this 1 year gap almost. I can't quite remember when it was, where every other genre of game just kind of passed it out, and now they almost look dated as soon as they launch, which I guess is fine since they come out every year, but still.
The world's biggest league joins the world's game. And a special thanks to the legendary Hans Zimmer and LA's own Vince Staples for collaborating with us in the trailer. And I really love the trailer because it captures our epic vision for how the Champions League comes to life in FIFA 19. And Lena's going to tell you a little bit more.
As Aaron said, the UEFA Champions League is an amazing addition for the game. It's where football's biggest heroes like Ronaldo and Neymar clash every year. And it's the place where champions rise. And you've been asking for this for a long time, and we are thrilled that it's here. And that's why we're bringing the Champions League across the game. Will be an authentic Champions League tournament mode. Your club will chase this trophy in career mode. Alex Hunter will pursue Champions League glory in your story mode, The Journey, and in FIFA Ultimate Team there will be live and authentic Champions League content. And we'll share more details on that along with all our other Ultimate Team features later this summer.
And all that's just the beginning. As you know, the heart and soul of FIFA is gameplay. And this year we're giving you the tools to control the pitch at every moment, from your tactical approach to the match to each technical touch. And we know how passionate you are about gameplay, so we've worked hard to shape and refine our vision for FIFA 19 with input from our community. From hands-on tests with beginners to detailed feedback sessions with FIFA pros. And we're going to be sharing a lot more about gameplay throughout the summer, but what I can tell you right now...
I know this is a little bit contradictory to what I was just saying, but that seems like a very divisive approach for a game with such a... such a singular type of reach.
Everybody to play when we launch on September 28th. And that's our FIFA 19 news, headlined by the UEFA Champions League. But I just wanted to take a minute to pause and reflect. Standing next to this trophy is a little bit surreal. You know, growing up, there's two iconic trophies that every young player dreams of winning. And for your club, it's this one, the pursuit of Champions League glory. But for your country, it's this trophy, the World Cup. And with the tournament starting in just 5 days, we're excited for the world to compete for it in FIFA 18.
Oh man.
As you can imagine, all of us on the FIFA team can't wait for the start of the World Cup. And we want to celebrate with FIFA 18 players, which is why we've just updated the game with a free World Cup experience on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PS, PC, and Nintendo Switch. But you can take Ronaldo...
I heard that it was coming to Switch. I feel like that was
you can write your own story
news.
for some great nations who didn't qualify this year. a reality for your home country like mine, Iceland. Who would have thought that a nation of only 350,000 people would ever qualify? And you can feel their excitement.
Apologies to any England fans in the room, I might still sing. And Lena isn't the only one who's excited. FIFA 18 players are loving the World Cup experience so far. But we don't want to stop there. We want to invite everyone to come and join the celebration. So I'm pleased to announce that for a limited time,
The game is
FIFA
free.
18 complete with the entire World Cup experience is available for a free trial on PlayStation.
I was saying that as a joke, but that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, you can download and play the entire game right now for free. Yeah.
Alright, it's pretty cool.
So to kick off the trial, we've got some of the world's biggest creators.
Oh,
who are gonna be
kick
joining
off.
live at the end of the show,
You're sly.
representing their nations in a little mini World Cup tournament.
And this summer will bring so much more for FIFA fans. Plenty of FIFA 18 content centered around the World Cup, and we'll bring you all the details on FIFA 19. But in the meantime, let's all enjoy the World Cup. Thank you, and auf Ramista!
Honestly, it's always been and will probably always be a dream of mine at some point in my career to stand on a stage at E3. If that does ever happen, I will try my absolute hardest not to end up becoming a clip somewhere in someone's compilation.
20 million people from 60 countries playing in competitive leagues this year. Well, the FIFA team never rests either, bringing the Champions League and the World Cup and so much other greatness to FIFA this year. We can't wait for you to experience it all. We've got so much to do here today, but I want to welcome you to EA Play. It's our third EA Play and our second one in Hollywood, and we couldn't be more excited to have you with us to share all the games that we have to show you. We've got lots to do, but before we move on, I'd like to share just a couple of things. The greatest disruption to the consumption of entertainment media in the last 5 years is the combination of streaming plus subscription. As consumers, watching movies, watching TV, listening to music, reading books has never been easier. And we believe that disruption is going to have a profound impact on our industry in the next few years. And so over the last couple of weeks, you will have seen that we announced a new team from Israel has joined Electronic Arts to help our investment to extend our thinking and extend our pioneering into this cloud gaming world. For many people, that's going to mean extending the experiences they already play on our partner platforms. For others, it's going to mean new games and new modalities of play across a whole variety of platforms. But for everyone, it's going to mean playing games anywhere, anytime. So this week we've got a tech demo running. All of our games streaming in HD
Sorry
from the
about this,
cloud
guys. I'm
to
just
multiple devices
doing
to
another
try
quick
out
social
yourself.
media blast,
Now,
getting
it's
some
not quite ready for
activity in the
full
chat
market
here.
prime time yet, but it is a promise of what we hope to bring you in the future. The second part of that, of course, is subscription. And we started subscription.
I saw a post from Kotaku that said it took exactly 6 minutes for E3's first Battle Royale mode announcement.
Today, we're announcing
It's
Origin Access Premier.
really intense.
So 3 things you need to know about it. Origin Access Premier will bring you all of our new PC games, starting with Madden NFL, back on the PC for the first time in over a decade. Then FIFA 19, Battlefield 5, and of course Anthem. And there'll be many more titles in the years to come. Second, you get access to the Vault, our library of over 100 games from EA and other publishers. And third, it will launch later this summer. So that's a little later in the year, but if you want to get started right now and experience the benefits and joys of subscription, come in and play a free trial of Origin Access, our base subscription, this weekend. Thank you and have a great
I was
day.
gonna say, not so late in the year that we can't discuss why I would want to make this decision. Especially when one of PC's current biggest appeals is the lack of necessity for paid subscription or a subscription-based service compared to the likes of any of the consoles right now.
Hey everybody! What's up? So I'm here, sitting inside the crowd.
Oh, that always goes well.
And I just happened to find Mr. Vince Anthem here in the audience from Respawn. What's going on, Vince? How you doing today?
I'm feeling great. I love this stuff. I love seeing you.
I mean, someone's super excited about that event on PC, right? Yeah! So, you guys may have seen that Vince was
Asking
tweeting
for cheers,
yesterday.
that's another
There's been a bunch of speculation. So,
dangerous
wanna
move.
just get right to it?
Sure. I mean, we're not ready to show all of our stuff yet. We're working on a bunch of stuff. It's amazing. The teams are kicking ass. But we wanted to bring a little tidbit. So we've been working with Lucas on getting the name and kind of the setting for what our Star Wars game is going to be, and we're going to talk about it right now.
Oh, you guys got any guesses? I bet you the internet is going wild right now.
I hope so. So the Star Wars name is Jedi Fallen Order.
Woo! So Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, so it kind of gives you some idea that you'll be playing a Jedi.
So does that mean I get to like hold a lightsaber?
Yes.
So Vince, you got anything else?
Well, it takes place during the dark times. Trying to be a little vague here, but when the Jedis are being hunted, so it's going to be spectacular.
So for all the hardcore nerds out there who want to know like where in the timeline, like between which episodes is it?
Between 3 and 4.
Okay. All right, between 3 and 4. That sounds like a nice time. You got any other tidbits?
It's not a night.
It's a dark time.
It's a dark time.
Bad time. Does that mean this is going to just be all dark and serious?
It's amazing.
All right, so I think people are now anxiously want to know, like, when can we play the game?
It will be holiday of next year, 2019, not this year.
Sorry to dash any hope.
Yeah.
But now that we know, we can set expectations, we're all going to be amped up, and hopefully we'll hear more from you maybe.
This man looks like
maybe
his
next year.
hopes and dreams are on the line with everything he says.
It was great to see you. Thanks for stopping by the show today. We do have a little bit more news on Star Wars, so I'm going to toss it over to Dennis.
Is this the apology I requested in the video? I mean, I didn't buy the game, so it doesn't affect me, but it'd be pretty funny.
On Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm really happy and excited to be here today, so thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit. So, we launched our game in November of last year, and clearly we didn't get it quite right. So instead of coming out of the gate sprinting like we really wanted to, we had to take a step back and make sure that we were delivering the game that our players really wanted. So we decided to completely overhaul our progression system and add a bunch of new character cosmetics for players to collect instead. So from there, we added a new hunt mode inspired by the original Battlefront games that I love personally, starting with the Ewoks on Endor. And thank you. It turned out to be by far the most popular update of the game, and the team loved building Ewok hunts. So, as you might know, we're currently in our Han Solo season with content from the movie coming next week. It's headlined by the new planet Kessel, a really dangerous place, and it features the return of one of our favorite modes, Extraction. So looking forward a little bit, this summer we will be introducing a new squad system to the game, which will allow you to team up much easier and play with your friends. We're also adding a new Starfighter mode focused around dogfighting with your hero ships. And looking ahead a little bit more, we will also be delivering a new large-scale multiplayer sandbox experience focused around capturing...
Real talk though, this is E3. Why is there one looped clip happening here instead of having multiple?
You have been asking for new heroes, villains, and planets from a certain era that features a very iconic Star Wars conflict. So I'm excited to confirm that Battlefront 2 this year will be going deep into the Clone Wars.
Yeah, see, I figured that's where they were going with that. That's awesome.
It's only fitting that we begin on the planet Geonosis, featuring multiple levels, including the largest level we have ever built for Battlefront. So let's talk about the heroes and villains. First, let me introduce
General Grievous.
the most powerful droid, the leader of the most powerful droid army in the galaxy, General Grievous. And yes, he will be going up against my own personal favorite, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Finally making his debut in Battlefront after all these years. But we're not done. That's not it. They will not come alone. Joining them is the Dark Lord and leader of the Separatist Alliance, Count Dooku, as well as someone to bring balance to the Force, Obi-Wan's unruly Padawan, Anakin Skywalker. The team at home is extremely excited to be building all of these cool things. EA and DICE are committed to Battlefront. We had a rough start, but I really think that this game has a bright future. Thank you very much for playing the game, providing us with your feedback, talking to us. Together, we will make this the greatest game that we can possibly build. There will be no Battlefront without you. So thank you, may the Force be with you, and enjoy the rest of E3.
There'd be no Battlefront without you guys. And as a reward for that, we backpedaled on the worst loot system ever created. Well, one of them.
Hi, it's really good to see you. In Unravel, we used yarn to symbolize
I remember this one.
and the bonds between people. In our new game, we tear that bond up right at the start. You lose everything, including your spark. But when things are at their darkest, you find hope. And you form a new bond. And your spark is rekindled. And it leads you off on an adventure. So welcome to Unravel 2. It's a game about fresh starts and second chances. These two little souls who refuse to give up and who build something new and beautiful together. And the whole game is
There's something about games that can be introduced like that I think is really still strong and profound. That
with two characters.
rather than jumping right to the gameplay, which of course is important, they tie in kind of the thematic frame of thinking and what sort of energy they were going for with the game, which I think with this type of project it's almost necessary, right?
And more challenging, but above all, it's a lot more playful. and we think it's a worthy successor. And I want to show it to you now, so I brought some help. So please welcome Michael to the stage. So our producer at Coldwood. And we're going to try to show you a little bit of what I'm talking about how you can play the game in co-op with yourself, essentially.
Man, live gameplay is so brave.
Prepared. There we are. So when you're playing it by yourself, you can essentially pick up the other character and carry them along through the more fast-paced segments of the game. And we actually try to include a bit more of those, because we figured that since it's a co-op game, we wanted to have more like thrill and danger and kind of wild moments. Places that were like...
I didn't play the first game, but this looks really good. Platformer is definitely my genre of choice, so I might have to check this out.
When you're problem solving, you can split apart into two and switch back and forth between the two characters. Because that's how we essentially designed all the problems and puzzles of the game, that you're always working together and helping each other out and utilizing this bond between you to overcome any obstacle that you come across. So I guess I'll jump in. So I'm going to do the red one.
Sorry, let me get my logo out of the way.
I'll be blue. Celebratory flip. And the bird is back. Playing it safe now. I'll swing. Alright. And I'll catch you.
See, man, stuff like this is like the spirit of why I like, you know, still streaming E3 every year. Even though like this year I'm doing it, you know, mostly solo, like it's still like the essence of having just really, really solid, well-designed, well-developed games, and, you know, getting to kind of go back to the roots of why we're all interested in the medium in the first place. You know, not necessarily the politics or the challenges or but just like very simplistic ideas like this one, we can just kind of come together and celebrate. As cheesy as that sounds, it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about game design in the first place.
Okay, your turn. Yeah. Look at me.
Plus, what a wonderful bird. Kind of reminds me of the giant spider from Limbo. Limbo was
now we can breathe again. So that's a quick little look at Unravel 2.
No, I was really like lost in that. I'd love to know when it comes out.
Yeah, I really hope you like it. And before I go, I just want to send some love to the team back home, because working on this game has been
I'm gonna adjust
really
the...
amazing team effort in so many levels.
Sorry about that, I just want to make sure we're on the same...
There's a bunch of us from Coldwood here, and thank you to those, and thank you to everybody back home, and thank you.
Wow, look at me being a huge cheese ball, completely forgot to adjust the screen like this. My bad, everybody. That's why we start with EA. Give me a chance to mess up a little. Get my logo on it. Get my mug out of here so we can enjoy this trailer. look at you guys and not me getting sentimental over a trailer for a game about yarn. It is gorgeous, though. Can I get this on PC?
And the brilliant team at Cole with the great
Because I will.
really strong. These guys have done an amazing job, and it's clear that they have a lot of passion, and I can't personally wait to play Unravel 2 with my kids. But what's even more amazing is that we will make Unravel 2 available to everyone today. Yep, you heard that right. You'll be able to take these two armies on their next big adventure starting today. The game is finished, it's out. So thank you, Martin, and thank you to the team at Cole.
I think I'm gonna buy that, honestly.
We started this journey with the original Unravel to seek out the most creative, independent
buy that right now, actually.
into our original program. It's been our way of helping these creators bring in unique games to the world and to tell their stories. And last year, if you remember, Joseph Fares was up here on stage representing his team at Haze Light and The Way Out.
Yeah, it's really funny.
And I think we all kind of remember that. And you
Little
might
anecdote here.
him from the Game Awards. Anyhow, in March that game
I bought.
it's innovative, it's fun.
I don't know if you guys remember when I first switched to the Yeti, I streamed Hearthstone that same night. But the Yeti that I got came with Far Cry 5, which I'm now remembering I honestly have not even started playing.
To work with independent developers to help them realize their dreams. Which leads us to our next
Funny thing. I'm actually not going to buy this right this second, but I am going to get to it.
When I met this team and I saw the game, I was instantly drawn to how personal the story was. It's one that carries a very powerful and important message. And it's unlike anything...
We're getting the guy from A Way Out back on stage, because he was the bee's knees at the Game Awards and at last year's E3.
Thank you, Patrick. I still remember during the pitch how enthusiastic Patrick was, and that afterwards, like our whole team, including me, we were super excited. It actually feels a little bit the same right now. I'm pretty excited, maybe a little too excited.
Do you think? Y'all did it, you know? Like, people often misinterpret the cringe for, like, it's overwhelming to have a project like that being such a crazy, big... You're on stage at E3, like, that's a big deal.
The whole journey from the very first concept to actually becoming a part of EA Originals is simply amazing. Let me tell you more about our game. When humans get too lonely, they turn into monsters. This is at the core of everything you will see, hear, and hopefully feel while playing SOS. What makes this underlying concept so important and so unique is that nearly every human being can at least somehow relate to or remember the feeling of being lonely. In my case, I started writing the story when I felt the loneliest in my life. I think
I'm not actually getting emotional about this. I just have my eyes actually itching.
Putting it into your art. I'm still amazed how the concept seems to just float out of me right into the hand and onto the paper. I think this is also why so many people can instantly connect with the game, because it's not a made-up story, even though that it takes place in a fantastic setting. In SOS, we try to show how people experience different kinds of loneliness, but also how outsiders, friends, and families see those who struggle. We achieve all this in playful ways so that players who wants to simply enjoy a fantastic experience can do so. But player who wants to look a bit deeper can reveal a whole emotional world beneath it all. Sea of Solitude is about a young woman named Kay, who is suffering from such strong loneliness that her inner feeling, the darkness, the anger, the hopelessness, worthlessness, turns to the outside and she becomes a monster. The game is about finding out why this happened to her, but also how to turn her back into a human. Ultimately, the goal is to bring all those emotions into balance. Some need to become bigger, some would be better off a little smaller, but to embrace even your destructive part or your self-doubt.
Sorry, it's I'm getting some like conflicting information as to like how my stream is running, but
And that's what our game is all about.
looks pretty clutch.
Is this real? This world that I live in is empty and cold. And the loneliness cuts me and it touches my soul. I'm no child of destiny and no fortune son. I've just chased you so long now. I'm too weak to run.
Kind of reminds me of Howl's Moving Castle, the monster that he would turn into. Spoiler, I guess. Very cool art direction. It's another one I'll be checking out when it comes out. Oh, here we go. You cannot awaken all of the remnants of my pretentious indie game loving past and then slap me in the face with NBA Live right afterwards. Is this NBA Street? Oh no, okay. I was gonna say, I thought they stopped making those like years ago. I was pretty big into those games when I was younger. Here comes the cringy esports reel. Y'all know I'm all about esports. I watch professional Hearthstone all the time. I love seeing people get good at games. It's just that I feel like it's something that I really struggle with genre to genre. Though this community seems less flat out horrible in the fighting game community, so that's good.
How you doing? I've been good. You still come from that butt whooping? Wow. Already started? Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Juju Smith from the Pittsburgh Steelers. As you guys can see, King of Touchdown Celebrations. That's pretty fire. I like that a lot. As you guys know, this is young kid, Madden 18, Madden champion. Like, give it up, young kid. Give it up.
Dude's on his victory tour. Respect.
Young kid.
how has it been? You know, your success and your path, you know, to where you're at today.
I've always been a competitor. When I was in high school, I was playing baseball. I hurt my arm. So then I picked up Madden, and at first I was really bad. I was getting blown out online, but I kept at it, put more and more time into it. Eventually I made my first tournament, but I had a big decision. It was the same time as my graduation.
Wow, okay. So the key to be the #1 player in Madden is to hurt your arm in baseball. That's the one. Number 2, you said you had the decision to go to graduation or go to the tournament. So, like, what did you do?
I chased that money. I still got my diploma, but I chased that money.
There you go. We're out here chasing money. That's awesome. Okay, now
That had the opportunity to be a really profound moment about sacrifice because gotta chase that money.
I made the final on TV and got blown out. But all those losses made me gain a lot of mental toughness, and that's how I got this belt.
That's awesome. That belt is so amazing. There's a lot of, you know, bling on that belt for you. Well, today, EA Play, you know, first look at the Madden 19 trailer. Super excited. It's going to be so fun. It's lit. I honestly was trying to stay right here and talk to you guys forever, but I'm not going to bore you guys. We're going to go out. I'm going to try to take this belt, you know, round 2. So, we're out. After that.
At least you got one charismatic person on stage. It doesn't help if they're both lame.
To the very top of the mountain. We battle through the pain and failure. All just to get to this place. You've been told legends are born. You fall so you can rise. And you rise so that you can truly see. See that it was really never about reaching in the road at all. But about all the moments that got you here.
Probably got about another half hour, right? We're probably going to take some time towards the end of the presentation to focus on Battlefield again. Maybe, I think they said they were going to wait till later in the year to talk about the Battle Royale mode. I'm sorry if I'm talking through, you know, the Madden trailer. I know they're probably giving away crucial details about the plot or something. As sarcastic as I am about, like, EA sports games, it's literally just that they're not my cup of tea. They're in no way bad games.
Here alongside Redwood Studios General Manager Michael Martinez. How you doing today?
Super excited to be here.
Yeah. We're going to do this presentation a little bit differently and give you your first look at a brand new mobile game in a live winner-take-all.
Alright, I was just talking about this.
Michael, why don't you tell us the rules?
Sure thing. The objective is straightforward. Destroy the opponent's base to win. Unit control, super simple. Just tap the destination, unit automatically moves there. The most efficient way to destroy the opponent's base is with this
Oh, we
giant
transitioned
nuclear
to
missile
some
in the
mobile
center of the map.
RTS.
Control the missile by standing on the majority of the control points. A bar fills up while the missile is possessed. Whoever controls the missile, when the bar fills up, will fire the missile. Takes 2 missiles to destroy the enemy's base and win. That's it.
Sounds great, Michael. Well, enough talking about it. Let's get to this match.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have an awesome matchup lined up for you here today. Fighting for the blue side of the room, could you please give a cheer for one of the most formidable RTS players there is. Make some noise for In Control.
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. RTS isn't my wheelhouse as far as, like, the esports stuff goes.
Fighting for the red side of the room, a competitive mobile gaming phenomenon. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Nick at Night.
There's gotta be some copyright issues with that, right?
Now, Mike, it's going to be a real clash of these games out of the competitive backgrounds that these players have, which should be a great way.
It really is. Can't wait.
All right, are the players ready? Let's get this thing going.
Ready to go.
Let's shake it up.
All right, let's
Go for it.
this off. Nice little strategy game for those of you out there. It's a
I mean, I'm glad that the stream's running fine, even though I'm not wired. But tomorrow, I still want to change my setup some, just to keep it cool and comfy. Maybe have my my stream showing on the TV, so I can kind of kick back on the couch a little bit.
Now the infantry is going to come out to hold that top point. Both players, of course, trying to take that position. Nick Knight being able to reach it a little bit first in a strategy in that flank position. That in control away from the top side. Also very important as Nick Knight's forces have to circle around the center.
Right, let's see if he's able to create a 2-on-1. Is he able to get there? So he's getting there. Here comes GDI with Rhino. It's going to rip up those infantry.
Going for the anti-infantry, like any strategy, the units that you're going to use, when you deploy them, will have a huge impact. Your micromanagement of your forces and protecting that economy as well.
Nick and Knight with some attack bikes at the top. There he is.
In control placing the turret on the top right side to help cover that Rhino as...
Not gonna front, guys. E3 is a whole different experience when you finally have a full-time adult job. It'll be really nice seeing some games and being like, oh, I'm just gonna get that when it comes out. Like that Yarn game. Unravel.
Right, absolutely. Again, they're going to tear through those infantry.
The control brings out his first tank. That's going to need to help push back these smaller forces as he makes his way to the south side. That missile passing halfway now. He will have the missiles as he starts to point towards the control base.
Let's see if Control can get around that top corner, able to hold that missile. He does contest the missile, put it into yellow position.
Very important, of course, blocking the pathing of those units is another big factor to the strategy. Holding those locations is so crucial as the control begins to secure the northwest spot. Another tank's going to come out from the site to take it out. But now he's bringing out the pivot missile to help lock down that northern position.
This missile is very, very close to firing. Let's see what's going to happen.
With another third control flank, he takes the top of that missile.
And then
fires!
Wow!
And Nick Knight, one shot away from being knocked out here. As the next one will start to ready up in just a moment's time. In control is very heavy artillery force is doing a great job at taking control of the map.
Yep.
You can see as more Nick Knight's forces move up towards that northern position, those harvesters, of course, very crucial, very important to protect those as you're really lucky to get these big linking units. The units are going to come out more slowly as you get more of them on the field. But in control, just spreading his forces out, trying to hold this advantage that he's had so far.
Nick and Knight is trying to get in there, but there's a great turret placement from in control, blocking and just ripping through again those infantry.
And we see control now moving his tank forward.
Another drill pod we're seeing with some flame tanks.
Yeah, bringing the flame force, those flame tanks, amazing damage to the infantry, able to clean that out. Meanwhile, two more tanks coming out from Nick and Knight trying to secure those positions. Brings up the laser infantry on the south side as well. Still with that tank, going for counters.
I feel like they probably want this to be like this really close, really intense match, but in reality, it's looking like it's kind of going to be a blowout.
Coming around to the far side for those rhinos. Looks like he's really touching this.
And we see that missile is starting to get close to firing with 3 zones in control for Nick and Knight. Looking to set things back the other way. He's trying to rally his forces. He doesn't want to engage with just 1 or 2 units. He wants to move all of them together, create a good flank position to take over that south.
We're seeing the first mech unit from in control. This is a Wolverine. Gonna rip that missile. Watch out for this missile.
And Nick and Knight go fire that one off and set it up for next missile is
Next missile wins. See what happens.
Have control of Wolverines, as you pointed out, for people coming out and trying to deal with these forces. But Nick and Knight's done a great job getting that presence and now also harassing the economy.
Yep, wow. Okay, we've got our first mammoth tank on the board. If Nick Control can get this in position, it's going to do some serious damage.
That missile just passed halfway ready. He's also bringing out his first air unit.
Wow. A lot going on here.
He's got a lot of Marines, that big boy, and Control just needs to hold
this missile is nearly going to fire. Where's it going to go?
Yeah, no, that's a wrap. It's done. It's done. That's a game. That's pretty dope.
Amazing. What a match. Thank you so much.
That was awesome.
Any thoughts, guys?
I just came to make mammoth tanks, so I've done my job.
Absolutely. That was awesome. Saw a little bit of everything right there.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's hear it for Nathanius. Nick and Knight in control. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw was the worldwide reveal of Command & Conquer Rivals. Rivals reimagines the real-time strategy experience for mobile. We're giving players complete, continuous control of their armies in quick, competitive head-to-head matches that are fueled by skill and strategy.
Looks
Now,
like it.
Rivals will be coming to iOS and Android devices, but I'm excited to announce that Android players can play the pre-alpha today. So head to the Google Play Store, search Command & Conquer Rivals.
Aha, not a sucker after all. What up?
We can't wait for you to play. Please let us know what you think. Thank you. Command & Conquer for a new generation. Now, before we close the show with a spectacular epic anthem, I want to share a few final things. I'm blessed to be able to work with some of the most creative people on the planet who come to work every day to create amazing entertainment. And what I can say about all of those teams, and what I can say about us, is that we are always trying to learn and listen and strive to be better. And so, as you look at the 10 experiences that I see today, and as you play games this week, there's some things we hope come through. First, that at the very core is choice. Is that you as players get to choose how you play, what you play, when you play, and what devices you play on. That in making those choices you feel you are treated fairly. That no one is given an unfair advantage or disadvantage for how they choose to play. That for every moment you invest, we know that you put so much of your life into the games we make, and that for every moment you invest, you feel like you are rewarded and you are given value for that investment. And most importantly, that the games are fun, that we move past the grind, and that these are experiences that truly enhance your lives. And so, as we think through all the things that we're trying to do, know that we want to be better, and that we want to make great games. And that as much as we love making games, and as much as you love playing them, there's something that is even greater that we can do together. The power of this community when we come together to do amazing things is profound. Last weekend was the third year of our Play to Give program, where we showed the world how the power of play can be a positive force for social impact. Millions of you out there participated in 9 in-game challenges in our games, logging millions of hours in support of Play to Give. And to celebrate that, we contributed a total of $1 million to 3 charities that share our vision for a more inclusive world. A world where representation and equality are not something we strive for, they are the standards. And where bullying and exclusion are not an everyday threat. These 3 organizations, the United Nations He for She, PACE's National Bullying Prevention Center, and Ditch the Label, an anti-bullying organization, all doing great work, and we're proud to support them through Play to Give. That, and thank you for your support.
Got my respects.
At EA and millions of you together doing immeasurable good because we love games. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for the incredible privilege of making games for all of you. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at Anthem.
At Anthem. Let's go. Very excited.
The gods vanished and left our world in chaos, creating, altering, destroying.
Right, yeah, you can play to my love of Muse all you want, but I want to see some real gameplay. Also, my least favorite thing about any sort of, like, EA game is that they always do these wild good remixes of songs, like it was the Humans that they did for Andromeda, and that's just it. That's the last I hear of it is in that trailer. It's so sad for me.
How cool is that trailer? You guys have seen it a couple times. It's so cool every time I see it. So I know all of you, like me, have had tons of questions about Anthem since last year because we're all BioWare fans. So we're going to do something a little bit different for the rest of the show. We're going to take a deep dive into Anthem. So I'm going to bring up some members of the BioWare team to chat with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm
I have been fortunate enough to attend 2 panels. BioWare had a really nice event, I think it was 2-3 years ago, where it was just them kind of rattling off information about the... Are we doing this again? Did I mess up again? Sorry about
Hey
that.
guys, thanks for coming out today. It's kind of a big show, right?
Here's how we'll fix it once and for all.
We're going to go ahead and just jump right in and get started with you. So now, we know that you all started, you started your career at BioWare way back in the day. You took a couple years off.
Let's move me down here so I'm not walking right into someone's face.
So, first of all, it's amazing to be back. It's awesome to be making games for BioWare fans. We have the best fans. So it's been super satisfying to come back to it. And, I just want to be able to continue the legacy of the studio. And that's kind of where it started with Anthem, is just thinking about, what is the evolution of a BioWare game? And we wanted to create a brand new world for people to discover, a whole new world of story and character. But we also wanted to do something that was, more of a dynamic and living world, a game that would change every time you came back and played it. We also wanted to do something where, if you wanted to invite your friends into it, then you could do that as well. So that was really the initial vision of the game, not an MMO, not a multiplayer game with story sort of bolted on the side, but something new and different, and I think the team has really captured that vision over the years.
Your fans really love the stories from BioWare, but I think we're kind of curious how you're planning to make story work in this shared world.
So a great story for BioWare is really about characters that you can have a connection with, choices you get to make, and feeling like the story is about you. In a lot of multiplayer games, those things get diluted because you're mixing multiplayer and storytelling into the same areas. Now you could build a solution to that, but you have to really build it into the core of the game. And that's what we've tried to do with Anthem. It's what we call our world, my story. So when you're out in the open world, the world's really dangerous and you're focused on your mission. And this is where other players get to play with you. The thing that's really interesting about this, it's unique for Anthem, is that this is a living shared world. So whether there's weather or it's nighttime, what we're experiencing together. Everyone that's playing Anthem at a moment is seeing the same thing. And this is what we mean when we talk about our world. It's a shared world that we all experience together. But then when I finish my mission, I come back to a base, like Fort Tarsus. And this is a single-player experience. I turn my rewards, I talk to some characters, I experience the choices of my action. And this is where your story really lives and breathes. And by doing it this way, we're able to combine that impact and agency of a single-player story with the fun of teaming up with your friends to play co-op in combat.
And we're also designing
That sounds
so that we can add
glorious,
stories
honestly.
for years to come. So one of the first things that we hear when from our community is they want to continue to play in our worlds. When they finished Mass Effect or Dragon Age, players want more story. And so we've designed Anthem in a way that we can actually add more story for years to come. And it could be anything. A new moment with a character that you've grown to love, or an event in the world that deepens the lore, or an entirely new storyline and plot.
Well, I'm certainly not going to complain about more story. I don't think anybody out there is going to either. So, Kevin, I wanted to ask you, from a writing perspective, since you are the lead writer, can you speak to what it's like to create a new world like Anthem from the beginning?
Well, what's really exciting for us, and not just the writers, but all of the devs, the designers, the artists, is that we're creating something new and mysterious for players to discover. So at the heart of the premise of Anthem is a world left unfinished by the gods. But the gods left behind their massive tools, and those tools are in constant conflict with this unknowable force called the Anthem of creation. And the chaos of those things pushing against each other means that the world is constantly being reshaped in new and unpredictable ways.
Yeah, violent storms, mutated creatures, gigantic monsters. It's a dangerous environment that you need to wear a suit of power armor, a javelin, to be safe in.
Now, something I think a lot of players out there maybe don't stop to think about is just how much work goes into creating a new intellectual property or IP, as we've been saying.
Or a game in general, if you really want to look at how fans act about stuff.
What's the process of creating a game like from scratch?
Yeah, it's something we've done a few times at BioWare. And really the hardest part is getting started, kind of getting off the blank page. So what we try to do is we think about the new experiences that we're trying to unlock for players. So like, what is the fantasy fulfillment? What are the new things you actually get to go and do that are different from what you've played before? So that's where we start. And then once we think about those things, that's how we're creating new IP, especially for games, is that you actually get to build a whole fictional universe that's meant to bring out a certain experience. And then once we do that, then we still need to build all the rest of the stuff, and what unlocks us creatively is to think about like principles around art style, tone, and even the technology and politics of our new world. And then from there we can actually go and build out every last detail.
Yeah, and one of the unique challenges for Anthem is that it's a world, an experience that's meant to feel alive, like it's happening right now. And so the world is always changing, whether the storms, seasons, and it's a really great concept to write for, because what it means is it gives us the opportunity to drop into the world, almost in real time, a dramatic event that changes the world for everyone. And that could be anything from gameplay to lore.
I mean, all of the moving parts in the dynamic world sound really cool the way that it sounds like they're going to come together. But even though there's obviously a lot going on, it really all comes back to your character. So let's talk about who we're going to be playing as and why we're fighting these crazy beasts.
So you are a freelancer, uniquely skilled to pilot these javelin exosuits. And you need those suits to survive and fight in this world, because the world will kill you. But on top of that, our ancient rivals, the Dominion, have they discovered a way, they think, to weaponize the Anthem of creation. And so we need to stop them and protect the free people of Tarsus.
Now, I've heard about this power armor a couple of different things. Is it a suit? Is it a javelin? Like, what's the canon term here?
We call them javelins, and there are 4, and they each have unique abilities. There's the Ranger, and then there's the Colossus, the Interceptor, and finally the Storm.
Yeah, so each javelin gives you a different way to play the game.
Oh, it's so stylish.
You're not your suit. You are a freelancer, a pilot, which means you can decide which suit you want to use based on your mood, based on the mission you want to engage in, or the javelins that your friends are using. So really what this allows us to do is we build the suits to look like they're built from the materials of the world. So they each have their own unique abilities. So let's take a look at the Ranger now. The Ranger is a more generalized suit, able to do a lot of different things, really designed for up-close and personal combat, one-on-one for the most part. The Colossus is heavier, more specialized, but able to really pack in big weapons that let them devastate the battle.
So cool.
I'm just going to say the Storm is going to be my favorite. I'm sure you guys out there are kicking your face right now, too. So the javelins are awesome, but we're going to take a couple questions right now. So Casey tweeted, some of you may have seen, asking for people out there to send us your questions. And the first one is going to be from It's Sweet Nicole, who asks, as a player who is all about making their characters their own, what kind of customization options will be available in Anthem?
Yeah, so we really want players to express themselves, both through customizing the way their javelin plays through gear and weapons, but also being able to personalize the way that it looks, both through paint jobs as well as changing the actual geometry of the suit itself. We want teams to be able to do this as well, and because you're going to be using the javelin for a long period of time, we really want you to be able to make your own.
I'm glad you brought that up because actually, Jay Leo has a question connected to customization. Monetization. How, when, loot box, cosmetics.
Yeah, so we are going to have some cosmetics and items that you'll be able to purchase, but you're always going to know what you're going to buy before you spend any money on it. So no loot boxes, no ability to pay for power. So that means no ability to spend money on gameplay advantage at all in Anthem. But even more important than that, we want to make sure that Anthem is an immersive experience that feels like it's complete from the get-go. So that means a main story, a big open world, and an ongoing service that provides new content for a long period of time. New story, new experience for everyone.
Well, I'm glad to hear that I can make my javelin pink. All right, Casey.
So,
you talked earlier about this being a co-op experience. So can you tell me a little bit about how the team...
So yes, industry standards will influence the way games are designed, developed, and announced, but that does not stop it from being a little bit disheartening to hear it treated as though good news, or as though it's a spectacular and unique thing for me to be able to experience a game as complete as possible from the get-go. I think a game being complete should be the expectation, not good news.
Shooting down from above, and then they're using
Unless it's free to play, you know.
But what I love is you don't just run around; you're swimming and flying as well.
So it's interesting because Ads the Slaytone wants to know, how will you balance multiplayer with single-player storytelling?
So Anthem is really built around trying to combine the impact of having your own personal story with the fun of playing with other players. But we really want to make sure that playing with other people feels like a choice. So for people that want to just experience the story, you're going to be able to do that. Now going into an open world like this by yourself is going to be a little bit more challenging than the team of 4 people. And we really try to balance the co-op experience to be fun even for people that don't normally engage in this kind of thing. So I really hope that everyone at least give co-op a try.
Okay, that's good to know. If you want to roll solo, you can, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Well, I know you all are on the edge of your seats. How about we show a little gameplay?
Please do.
Yeah? Good about that? All right, so Kathleen, you're going to set this up for us?
I will. So, you and your friends have decided to play a mission called Scars and Villainy. Scars have put together an acid-based super weapon, so you gotta take them out. So you start in the Strider, which is like a giant walker, and it's your forward base of operations. You have a conversation with your crew, Halleck, Faye, and Owen, and you'll hear Owen. He's going to talk us through the mission as we experience it here. And yeah, then you just get into your javelin suit and you head out with your friends.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark, Casey, Kathleen, for talking to me about Anthem today. We're going to go ahead and roll the gameplay now.
This game looks awesome, guys. It looks really inventive and intuitive and fun. Best part is it's a game that really benefits from online but doesn't require it, which means that the ability to play the game is not contingent on its reception, like Evolve.
They said these bastards make this kind of acid and using it as a weapon. So, I knew we're making this going.
It's a groovy look. So gorgeous.
Owen, what's the plan here? Picking up loads of scars nearby. Take them around the area, but be careful.
Right. Checking out the Skycam some more.
so the turret. But I move quickly.
Sorry, I'm really kind of wrapped up in this one.
There's a secret relic. Wait, something's odd. Get a closer look, would you? See those radiant pieces of energy? They're echoes of the Anthem of creation. Loads of scars nearby. Be careful. Return to the relic. You've got the silence fast. Silence. Disaster averted. Do you think you could have done this, though? Wait, something's happening.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah.
I think that was whatever labeled incident. The sound came from the below position. On the plus side, this definitely counts for what hazard pay. There's a trigger's acid dump leading down. Follow it. We should find the source.
I wonder how the flight like actually controls and if it feels really comfortable. Tasty. When does this game launch? Launch date, though.
That was actually just a short version of the full demo that we brought here to LA. So if you want to come by the Anthem Theater here at EA Play, you can check out the game live.
Launch date.
So, for the question on everyone's mind, when do we
Launch date, thank you.
So Anthem comes out February 22nd, 2019.
Good. Good time frame. Tells me they're still working hard on it. It's probably not finished. Plus, that gives me time because there was a lot of. I mean, for me to have 2 or 3 games that I'm looking at from EA's presentation, probably says that this whole weekend's just gonna be me going bankrupt on pre-orders.
Everybody working hard at their studios back home around the world. Let's give them all a round of applause. Now, some of what you saw
There's killer
today,
stuff happening here.
Ways to play. Guys, EA has so much available right now. Now, for those of you keeping score, you can get your free trial of the 18th World Cup today, and Andrew told us about the free trial of Origin Access. Yarny is back with Buddy in Unravel Two, which is also available today. Plus, you can take on your friends in Manhunt Rivals starting today as well. Now, that's a lot of available stuff that's out today. Is anybody ready to jump up and download anything? No? You're like, I just want to go outside and fan fest. I get it. So, I want to let you guys know to keep your streams going because in just a few moments, the FIFA 18 World Cup Live Tournament is going to begin. I'm going to head outside and check out the games, but I want to thank everybody for coming down to EA Play today and watching the press conference, and have a great weekend.
So I'm not gonna watch the FIFA Cup with you guys, but I am gonna close out here. So, saw a lot of really, really awesome stuff already, which is a great thing, for the first day of E3 to already have a few games that look really, really cool. Anthem looks honestly spectacular. Like, that game is going to be like a really, really high-profile launch, probably a day one purchase for me as well. I think it's pretty incredible the way that they kind of introduced Unravel 2 and SOS. Both of those games look really, immersive and well done. I'm excited for those. A lot of content that they made available today, so that I think is a really interesting approach. Nothing generates hype like being able to have your game launch E3 weekend. That really gets attention going. So, a lot of overall really positive stuff going down here. That being said, we're just scratching the surface. This is the very start of the weekend. Tomorrow, come back here at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard, and we'll kick off, preparing for Microsoft's show, which is going to be a pretty big one. One of the big three, right? So, in the meantime, thank you everyone for tuning in. This is an exciting way to kick off E3 weekend. I look forward to seeing you all soon, and make sure to come back for more from the Game Room here at E3.